Namaste, angels. I'm here to do the daily reading for Friday, May 19th. Into the weekend likely, but not necessarily. I may be back because Saturday, May 20th, is the day that Mercury exits its retrograde zone. It's also the day that the sun enters Gemini. So a lot going on this week in terms of energy. And I hate throwing words around like that, energy and shift and all of this stuff. Because for me, these things are all written. We're not reinventing the wheel. We don't have to make stuff up as we go along. Certainly not about spacemen and whatnot. Although I'm not denying the likely existence of spacemen. We don't need them to get through this. All of this stuff is written already, and perhaps in with their help. However it got here, it's all written. If you know more than one scripture like I do, you start to see the patterns. Also, other ancient texts come into play. In that light, with all those ancient texts and everything, in great part through the book of Daniel, I did the math on who might be the anointed one, and came to the date of Malcolm X's assassination. Okay, February 21st, 1965, and determined at that point that he was the anointed one. And there's been other things, you could call it circumstantial evidence, but certainly evidence to support my claim and my position. Mark my words, there'll be activity on the 19th, as I always say there is on a 19th. And that was also based on my calculations and determinations, and my channeling my messages from God that he wanted to celebrate his birthday, or does celebrate his birthday, or his birthday is on a 19th. And I started to see the patterns with his help and the help of the angels, that exactly what the number 19 meant, the Alpha and the Omega. Tomorrow's when any quote unquote shift will begin, not Saturday. Yeah, that's it. So with that, I'm going to tell you a little bit about Malcolm X. I've always had a very strong connection to him. Makes sense now, knowing who I am, and again, having determined who he was. Yeah, I mean, even from a child, when I was a child, I went to see a one-man show. And nobody talks about this show, not even Denzel himself. Denzel starred in this show. It's a stage show at Henry Street Settlement in Lower Manhattan, the Lower East Side, LES. At that time, it was a very quote-unquote ethnic neighborhood. I guess maybe a ghetto by the true definition. Very, like, black, Puerto Rican specifically, not just Hispanic, and Jewish. Like, that was it for the Lower East Side. That's who lived in the Lower East Side. And there's a place there, Henry Street Settlement, and it's a theater. They provide classes, community classes and things. You could learn to dance there. They have drama club. My kids performed year after year. My daughter and neighbors, friends and things who tried out performed year after year in this like steampunk Halloween live fun house and stuff like that. I mean, they have a lot of really great things there. But one of the things that I saw there as a child was Denzel Washington perform a one-man show of the autobiography of Malcolm X. And I was a child. And I remember this like it was yesterday. I was right in the front. I had to look up recently what year that was. I thought I must have been like 6, 7. It says that it was in 81, which is also interesting because that's the year my divine masculine was born, 1981. But makes sense, more circumstantial evidence for me. So I would have been 10 at the time. But I remember it like it was yesterday. So when you see him in the movie, those of you who have or who will in the future, that's not the only time Denzel Washington has performed Malcolm X, and you can feel free to Google it yourself. Malcolm X, without going into the Wikipedia, was a phenomenal man. But he started out the same way the rest of us do. in the same way I believe Jesus did, and I have said Jesus did. I've referred to Jesus on earlier videos as a PIMP. That's why his whole teenage life, adolescent life is absent from the Bible. Goes up to when he was 12 and stops there. He's not mentioned again until he's 32. There's a reason for that. Similar to Jesus, I believe, or similar to us and Malcolm, I believe Jesus had to find his way first. Although he was always elevated beyond everyone else, he was here to experience human life. And so even like somebody like me, who is maybe further ascended than some other people, I'm still in part human, and I'm here to experience human life, not to just, walk around using, quote unquote powers or anything, And so that's what he did. That's what he did. And that's what Malcolm did. He was a thief. He was all kinds of things before he became the great man that some of us respect him as. Certainly great orator and all of these things. I say all this to say, this is why we should not be hard on ourselves. This is a part of the scriptures that was manipulated. And there's writing about this. There's writing about what I'm about to tell you. That there was argument, debate as to how to portray Christ. There's documents to this effect. How to portray him. I found these after I had my experience with the channel messages. I think it had to do with the Nicaea, like the Nicene Creed and all that, but don't quote me on that part. But you can look it up. And the debate was how to portray him in the Bible, because he was less than what we've deemed him to be as perfect. He's always perfect. But as are we. We're all supposed to believe that we're perfect because God does. So he was less than man would have considered perfect. And so they'd be like, well, how do we spin this basically? And the decision was to leave chunks of the Bible out. But to me, that was obvious. I mean, like I said, I had already figured that out. So anyway, yeah, this is the same goes for Malcolm, and the same goes for many of us. I've talked to you guys about, some of the things that I was into as a teenager. Nothing not really outlandish, but I was certainly a fighter. And I didn't start fights, but I was a fighter. I finished them, kind of still like that. And I had so many fights at one point that the leader of the set, quote unquote set, from one of the largest New York gangs at the time, the Decepticons. This was the male sect also, because the females went by the Deceptinettes. But one of the members, his name was Broadway Joe, and he was the leader of this sect. He approached me on the street that he had seen me, he had been watching me. I didn't have to get jumped in. I didn't ask to be in the gang. I wasn't necessarily interested. But he had come to tell me that I didn't have to be jumped in because I had already done everything. And he instead tagged me in and had all the members of his sect that were present tag their names in graffiti on my jeans. And from that point on, I was a Decepticon. Like the only female Decepticon that I knew of, not a Deceptinet. But I got into stuff. I mentioned Anthony Garcia the other day when I was talking about Saint Anthony, who has the same birthday as me, and Saint Anthony's holiday is celebrated on June 13th. Strange enough, my mother, I visited my mother the other day. My mother said, I've been thinking about Anthony, but she's psychic too. I thought that's where I got it from, initially. And I guess in some ways it is still. But before I knew about any of this divine union stuff or quote unquote twin flame stuff or anything, I was psychic. I was psychic all my life, and I thought that it was something I inherited from my mother. So anyway, she was asking me about Anthony. That I keep feeling him. I keep thinking about him. I want to know if he's okay. But anyway, Anthony and I used to scale buildings. The buildings in the housing complex we lived in, somehow you couldn't get me to do it now. I can barely probably pick my leg up to do anything of this. But we used to climb to like the 3rd floor of the buildings and climb on people's terraces, and then climb ourselves back down, like all kinds of stuff, get into things. Jesus accidentally killed somebody when he was 7 years old. There was a young man that was bullying him, and just by, his mind control, he killed the young man. I'm not saying on purpose, but that's what happened. He subsequently went on to bring him back to life. So I'm saying all this to say, whatever you've heard about Malcolm, and what your perspective on him is now, that he is the phenomenal person that I say he is and believe he is, or you have your reservations, think about yourself, because we're all made in his image. And his image was this, that Jesus himself got into mess, as they say, but turned himself around as he continued to ascend. Ultimately, he was a 10th dimensional being. My guess would be that Malcolm was probably around 6, 7, but I don't know that for sure. And, still human, basically. So don't beat yourselves up. Don't beat yourselves up. We've come really far, but we've got a ways to go, and it's been done before us. We are not reinventing the wheel. We do not have to make up this journey as we go along. There are many, many, many examples, phenomenal examples of amazing ascended masters that have paved the way, and texts, scripture left behind that is literally a map to how all of this works. With that, I'll go to Wikipedia and Malcolm X. Malcolm X, born May 19, 1925, died February 21st, 1965, was born Malcolm Little, and later came to be known as El-Hajj Malik El-Shabazz. To his admirers, he was a courageous advocate for the rights of blacks, a man who indicted white America in the harshest terms for its crimes against black America. Detractors accused him of preaching racism and violence. He has been called one of the greatest and most influential African Americans in history. Malcolm X was effectively orphaned early in life. His father was killed when he was 6, and his mother was placed in a mental hospital when he was 13, after which he lived in a series of foster homes. In 1946, at age 20, he went to prison for larceny and breaking and entering. While in prison, he became a member of the Nation of Islam, and after his parole in 1952, quickly rose to become one of the organization's most influential leaders. He served as the public face of the controversial group for a dozen years. In his autobiography, Malcolm X, he wrote proudly of some of the social achievements the nation made while he was a member, particularly its free drug rehabilitation program. The nation promoted black supremacy. I don't know if it promoted black supremacy as much as it promoted black nationalism, but some people could argue that. It advocated the separation of black and white Americans. They were for that. And rejected the civil rights movement for its emphasis on integration. This is true. By March 1964, Malcolm X had grown disillusioned with the Nation of Islam and its leader, Elijah Muhammad. So they're not going to go into detail there. I'll tell you the reason was because Elijah Muhammad was discovered to have has been as holy, or to have gone a different route. Because again, we're all, at least in part, human. And he did some things that were not okay of a person of that type of authority and supposed belief system. It was total hypocrisy. So Malcolm certainly grew disillusioned with him. And then on top of that, he went to visit Mecca and saw the way other Muslims were living, not as terrorists or anything like that, as is proposed here, that's all that goes on in Islam, as if that's the only religion where it happens, and Christians aren't terrorists and things like that. But he went there and he saw Muslims of all different shades of brown, from light to dark, you know, what's become Arabs and things in that region. He saw these people and he worshiped with them, and they were his brothers. And so by that, in combination, that and what went down with Elijah Muhammad, he was completely turned off to the nation at that point. He then, it goes on to say here, expressing many regrets about his time with them, which he had come to regard as largely wasted. He embraced Sunni Islam instead at that point, and after a period of travel in Africa and the Middle East, which included completing the Hajj, he repudiated the Nation of Islam completely, disavowed racism, and founded the Muslim Mosque. So at that point, he released some of their ideologies that perhaps were indeed attached to racism. Let go of those, and again decided that there was brotherhood among those who embrace brotherhood, period, and those who don't is with whom it doesn't exist. So he founded the Muslim Mosque in excuse me, and the Organization of Afro-American Unity. He continued to emphasize Pan-Africanism, Black self-determination, and Black self-defense. So these are all important things. Certainly they were then, because in 1965 was when this is the same year the civil rights laws were passed. I mean, there were no laws for Black people then. They were, you know, being murdered left and right. So absolutely, to me, the whole thing is understandable. But certainly there's a reason as to why he would want to continue the Pan-Africanism, the Black self-determination, and the Black self-defense. In February 1965, he was assassinated by 3 members of the Nation of Islam, is what it says here. I would add, and the CIA, but that's, you know, can be chalked up to perhaps to my opinion. And if you want to read more about this, we can go on to other aspects here of his life that they have, you know, traveling abroad, his pilgrimage to Mecca, what went on after he left the NOI, again, the Nation of Islam, his family life, his early ministry, probably some of his childhood, his stint in prison, all these things are there. I'm going to go to the other day's events. In the year 1565, Anne Boleyn, the second wife of English King Henry VIII, is beheaded at the Tower of London on the charges of adultery, incest, and treason. Right, she was said to have slept with her brother and become impregnated by him, as opposed to Henry, and had planned to like trick Henry into believing that this was his child, which is something else that goes on quite a bit in this community. We have a lot of the divine masculine, the males, obviously, who have been charged with fathering children that are not theirs. And some of you still need DNA tests, from what I feel. But moving on. 1643, Massachusetts Bay, Plymouth, Connecticut, and New Harbor formed the United Colonies of New England. 1649, England is declared a Commonwealth by an act of the Long Parliament, making England a republic for the next 11 years. 1885, which is 13/04/1111, the German Chancellor Bismarck takes possession of Cameroon and Togoland. So those are 2 places in Africa. 1898, U.S. Congress passes the Private Mailing Card Act, allowing private publishers and printers to produce postcards, though they had to be labeled labeled private mailing cards until 1901 and later became known as souvenir cards. 1919 or 11, Mustafa Kemal Ataturk, Ataturk, lands at Samsun on the Black Sea coast, beginning the Turkish War of Independence. Did you know about midday, near total darkness descends on New England, now known to be caused by forest fires in Canada. This happened on May 19th in the year 1780. Famous birthdays: Mustafa Kemal Ataturk, Ho Chi Minh, Malcolm X, Dolph Shays, Pete Townsend, and Andre the Giant. Famous weddings: 1853, Dutch Prince Henry marries Princess Amalia of Saxony-Weimar. 1880, novelist Robert Louis Stevenson, 29 or 11, weds Fanny Van de Grift. Fanny Van de Grift Osborne, excuse me. She was 40, so she was 11 years his senior. They got married in San Francisco. 1908, Prime Minister of Canada, Louis St. Laurent, 26, weds Jean Renault. 1970, U.S. Vice President Al Gore weds 22. They put his age after the word weds. He was 22, master number 22, when he wed author Tipper Atchison, who was 21, at the Washington National Cathedral in Washington, D.C. 1979, guitarist Eric Clapton marries Patty Boyd. Famous deaths: Anne Boleyn, Nathaniel Hawthorne, William Gladstone, T.E. Lawrence, Ronald Colman, Jacqueline Kennedy Onassis. Why am I ceasing to be able to speak? Jacqueline Kennedy Onassis, or Jacqueline Bouvier, was American and the U.S. First Lady. Jacqueline Kennedy Onassis was America's First Lady during her husband John Kennedy's term from 1961 through 1963 as president. She was with him when he was assassinated in 1963, after which she married Greek shipping tycoon Aristotle Onassis. She is remembered for her sense of style and her redecoration of the White House, and for her work as a book editor in New York. She was born on July 28th in 1929 and was a Leo from Southampton, New York, USA. She died on May 19th in 1994 at the age of 64 of cancer. Ronald Colman was English and an actor. He's famous for A Double Life in 1947, Random Harvest in 1942, A Bulldog Drummond, and Condemned, both in 1929. He was born on February 9th in 1891. And was an Aquarius from Richmond, England, United Kingdom. He died on May 19th in 1958 at the age of 67 of acute emphysema. T.E. Lawrence. Full name was Thomas Edward Lawrence. Thomas means twin. He was Welsh. He was a soldier and a writer. T.E. Lawrence is remembered as a soldier in World War I, where he helped lead an internal rebellion against the Ottoman Empire. Events he detailed in his work, The Seven Pillars of Wisdom. These events were in turn portrayed in the film Lawrence of Arabia. Lawrence was an archaeologist working the Near East when World War I broke out, and he was recruited by the British Army to help to foster a revolt within the Ottoman Empire. Working with Arab forces, he successfully helped with the capture of Aqaba and later Damascus. In 1922, Lawrence published his memoirs, at that time in The Seven Pillars of Wisdom, which was made into the film Lawrence of Arabia by director David Lean. The film won Best Picture in 1963 at the Academy Awards. Lawrence died of his injuries after a motorcycle accident in 1935. He was born on August 16th in 1888 and was a Leo from Trimmadog, Caernarfonshire, Caernarfonshire, Wales. He died on May 19th in 1935 at the age of 46 in a motorcycle accident. William Gladstone was British And British Prime Minister, four-time Prime Minister of the United Kingdom. He was born on December 29th in 1809, which is 9-9, and was a Capricorn from Liverpool, England. He died on May 19th in 1898 at the age of 88 of heart failure. Nathaniel Hawthorne was American and an author, one of America's first authors. Much of his writing centers on New England, with many works featuring moral allegories with Puritan inspiration. His themes often center on the inherent evil of sin, of humility, and his fiction works are considered part of the Romantic movement. His texts typically contained moral messages and deep philosophical complexity. He was born on July 4th in the year 1804. So he was born on 11/11/11. And that equals 6 equals love. He was a Cancer from Salem, Massachusetts, USA. He died on May 19th in 1864 at the age of 59. And Anne Boleyn, last of the deaths, was English and Queen, the Queen of England from 1533 through 1536, and the second wife of King Henry VIII. She was a key figure in the political and religious upheaval that was the start of the English Reformation. She died on May 19th in 1536 at the age, the cause of death was execution by beheading. They don't have her age here. Going up to the birthdays, Andre the Giant was French. Full name was Andre Rene Roussimoff. He was a professional wrestler, a one-time WWF and World Tag Team Champion. He was born on May 19th in 1946 and was a Taurus from Grenoble, France. He died on January 27th in 1993 at the age of 46 of congestive heart failure. Pete Townsend is 72 years old. He's English and a rocker, best known as the guitarist and songwriter for the group The Who, which was considered one of the most influential bands of the 1960s and 70s. He was born on May 19th in 1945 and is 72 years old, a Taurus from London, England. Dolph Schayes is 89 years old. He's American, and he was an NBA power forward and coach in his day, a top scorer and rebounder. He was a member of the 1955 NBA champion Syracuse Nationals and played his entire Hall of Fame career with the Nationals and their successor the Philadelphia 76ers. In his 16-year career, he led the team into the postseason 15 times. He was born on May 19th in the year 1928 and was 89 years old, a Taurus from New York City, New York, USA. Ho Chi Minh, Vietnamese, and he was a Vietnamese communist revolutionary, according to this. He was a key figure in the foundation of the Democratic Republic of Vietnam in 1945. He was born on May 19th in 1890, which is 9-9, and was a Taurus from Nha An Province, French Indochina. He died on September 3rd in the year 1969 at the age of 79 of heart failure. And lastly, Mustafa Kemal Ataturk was Turkish and president and founder of the Republic of Turkey. Ataturk was instrumental in creating the modern Turkish state. A major figure in the fight for independence, he became the Republic's first president and went on to reform many institutions. Ataturk rose to prominence through the Ottoman army and successfully repelled the Allied forces during the Gallipoli campaign in WW1. After the war, Ataturk was a key figure in the country's independence movement, resisting Allied attempts to impose their settlement in the Treaty Lausanne. In 1921, he established a provisional government in Ankara and got the caliphate abolished the next year. In 1923, Turkey was declared a republic and Ataturk its first president. Until his death in 1938, Ataturk sought, I think they meant to have sought, S-O-U-G-H-T, but they have sort, S-O-R-T, to modernize Turkey and its institutions. Much of Turkish society was secular, I think they mean secularized, maybe. I'm not sure. They have S-U-C-L-I-S-E-D. I don't know what that's supposed to mean. They might mean secularized. and education made widely available. He was born on May 19th in 1881 and was a Taurus from Salonika, Ottoman Empire. So this is another 9-9, by the way, May 19th, 9-9, 1881. He died on November 10th in the year 1938. So he died in 111, 111. And at the age of 57, which is also 111, of cirrhosis of the liver. And I believe I said he was the last. Yes, he was. So I don't even know if I said why I connected Malcolm with the Anointed One. I mean, other than my calculations, yes, but my calculations led me to the year of his death. But also the way that it's described, the story of the Anointed One is described in the Scriptures, is that this would be a person who would be assassinated before getting the opportunity to finish their work. So that certainly applies to him. And the 19, which is connected to God and the Alpha, the Omega, makes perfect sense that it is him and that I am right and I don't doubt myself. Because it's pretty much been confirmed to me the same way God's birthday himself was confirmed to me. Anyway, I just wanted to make sense of that if I hadn't already. I'm going to the dice beginning with sex. And I wanted to make sense of it for the purpose of understanding how strong the energy of this weekend can be for us. Going to email. Sex, email, and cocktail. Well, sex is still right in my face, so I'm not going to count that out. Also, massage. Maybe you can do both. 29 staring at you guys, but it's upside down. Eat cake. And no. I'm always happy when I read no after sex and not before. Okay, let's get to the cards. We go to the cards, begin with the Queen of Fire, who's confident, warm, intelligent, and graceful. Also the quintessential divine feminine of the tarot. And perhaps a Leo, Sagittarius, or Aries. Stretch your wings and fly. Don't underestimate yourself. Assert your independence and creativity. Opening to the King of Earth. Maybe here for Malcolm, or maybe here for the Mercury in Taurus. Generous, professional, responsible, and practical is the King of Earth. Also a Taurus, perhaps, Virgo or Capricorn. A successful time. Confidently accept opportunities you're offered. You have the Midas touch. They were also going to show us the card behind it. And that is the Four of Air. Time to rest or take a vacation. Allow more time before making a decision. Meditation may provide answers. King of Earth. And it's the Seven of Air. Plans that need revision. More going on than meets the eye. Poor timing. This is a card of distrust. It's a card of theft, betrayal. And I usually just sum it up by saying it is the energy of stealing joy. It's the joy stealers. Seven of Air back. Opening to the Eight of Water, a desire to move on, the search for something more meaningful, spiritual and emotional growth. The Seven of Air opposite the King of Earth can be somebody wanting to get in the way, or some kind of energy, negative energy, wanting to get in the way of you and an opportunity. So be mindful of that. Seven of Air back. Opening to the Three of Earth, maybe at work. Somebody could be messing with some of us at our place of work, wherever that is. The power of creativity, recognition for very high quality work. Be a team player. The Three of Earth is all about, like, your boss wanting to recognize you, wanting to give you a bonus, a promotion, a raise. And your boss, like some of us are self-employed, that could be your customer base. And for me, and in my opinion, it's also God. The universe is our boss. He wants to bestow promotions upon us. That's the ascension. That's where, money falls out of the sky, in different ways for us. We get these unexpected financial and other miracles that happen, like people's mothers, falling ill but recovering. All of these types. This is abundance. This is abundance. These are miracles from above, and all associated with the 3 of earth for me, or to me. And of course, as a 3, it can also have something to do with a party of 3, not necessarily romantic, but there can be like a 3rd energy or something, maybe as part of a team at the office or something, some sort of group project where somebody's, not living right. 3 of earth back, and opening to the moon with Archangel Haniel. Important psychic insights, events behind the scenes, release fears that hold you back. The moon represents the sign of Pisces or other water sign, Cancer, Scorpio. And it's about the need for us to pay close attention to our intuition. So if you have a feeling about somebody at the job or something at the job, maybe, for example, pay attention to that and be mindful of that potential 7 of air energy. And also, it's about things being in the dark, but what's done in the dark always comes to light, I say. Opening to the 3 of air, great sadness. Take time to heal. It's the need to forgive yourself and others. Some of us, going through some sort of betrayal. Perhaps relationships between earth and air, friendships, romantic relationships, different groups of people at work. Again, one trying to betray the other, or something like that could be happening. Three of air back. I'm going to cut. And we've come back to the moon. So there's stuff that we don't know. We have to release fears that hold us back. Whether or not we know these, everything or not, we have to continue to power forward. Overall energy is the Queen of Air, who's independent, experienced, realistic, and witty. Objective decision-making, clearing away all that no longer serves you and seeing the humor in a situation. Queen of Air could certainly be representing Gemini here, or Libra, or Aquarius. The masculine is the 4 of air. Time to rest or take a vacation. Allow more time before making a decision. Meditation may provide answers. And the King of Earth is also back. A successful time. Confidently accept opportunities you're offered. You have the Midas touch. So the 4 of air had been behind the King and ended up in front of it. And the High Priestess, also a Gemini or perhaps a water sign. Listen to your intuition. Have patience and consider carefully what you want before acting. I think definitely a Gemini in this reading, with the Queen of Air being the overall energy. And when I picked this up, underneath it is that 7 of air yet again. This energy of attempting to steal joy. Also up right behind that, the King of Water, who is married to the Queen of Air. At least the higher ascended versions of them. King Osiris and Queen Isis are a King of Water and Queen of Air. Trustworthy, compassionate, respected, and cultured is the King of Water. He's also a Scorpio, Pisces, or Cancer. Open your heart and mind to those around you. Trustworthy and heartfelt advice and charity work, which is love. So somebody may be trying to get in between, or some kind of energy that's negative, get in between these relationships and thwart them from coming together, from reuniting. We've seen a lot of the reconciliation and all that kind of stuff. And I've told you this and next month, we're going to be the month of Scorpio and Gemini. when I pick that up, also up right behind it, justice. So whatever this energy is attempting does not work out. Fair and just decisions. Do what you know is right. Stand up for your beliefs. And behind that, also upright, the dreamer, representing the planet Mercury, and Gemini, also Virgo for me. A leap of faith. Follow your dreams. Unexpected opportunities come from doing that. This represents the Fool in the traditional tarot. The dreamer is the Fool. It's all about taking a brand new leap of faith, a brand new path, you know, a new beginning. So this tells a story here, these cards together. Queen of Earth, Queen of Air, and King of Water, a couple, negative energy attempting to get between them. It doesn't work, and they get to have a brand new beginning here. Feminine. Unity with Archangel Sandalphon, traditional viewpoints or methods, spiritual organizations, seek out mentors and like-minded friends. This is the Hierophant in the traditional tarot, all about commitment, marriage, higher institutions, can be higher institutions of learning, college, other vocational things you get into, any kind of commitment. It can be legal matters that you're signing. Sometimes the Hierophant is seen as some sort of officiant, can be like a lawyer or a judge. Surrounded by the Ace of Water. This can easily be a brand new relationship or a renewed relationship here for the feminine. Falling in love or the resurgence of a relationship, spiritual growth and enhanced intuition. Also, a new home is a possibility. But the Ace of Water sitting here underneath the Unity card of the Hierophant can be a marriage. Or any other type of commitment, a new relationship, or the resurgence of a relationship, as the Ace of Water states. And we're going to have to defend it, or the feminine is ready to, should she have to. This is what she's contemplating. This is what's on her mind. Defend your beliefs and decisions. Stand your ground. Choose your battles wisely. For some of us, this is a decision to have or like keep a baby also. Yeah. Speaking of have or keep a baby, we're crowned by the Empress, who's holding a baby and crossing the Ace of Water. There you go. Boom. You know, I don't make these things up. The Empress represents the signs of Libra and Taurus, yet again. Also can be representative of our parents, particularly our mothers. So that energy may be coming through again, or mothering, nurturing, you know, male or female. Also about abundance, which crossing the King of Earth certainly makes sense. Lavish abundance, give birth to your dreams, nurture yourself and others. For some of us, this is about creativity and yes, giving birth to our dreams, not necessarily an actual person. For others, this is a very fertile time in the literal sense as well. And if you've been trying to get pregnant and have been unsuccessful, it's something you were wanting to do. You make a decision to do that, to attempt to get pregnant, and it's a good time for you to do so. At the root, the Six of Fire. See, victory. Good news, it's on its way. Public recognition or awards. I like this progression too, with the 6 and the 7. So we win, and then we defend that. At the heart of the matter, the Knight of Earth, who's loyal, dedicated, honorable, and kind. Time to buckle down and get things done. Honor your commitments. You have a guardian angel. With the Knight of Earth crossing unity and commitment, again, an Archangel Raphael behind us, this can certainly be about the healing of relationships and relationships coming back together. For the masculine, he may need to make a decision about maybe it's something with a child, a baby, or giving birth to his dreams. Maybe he's got some fear. He has no reason to have any, however, because he's surrounded by the King of Earth and this energy of the Midas touch for him. And the King of Earth crosses the Six of Fire. So victory. This is really like a super, super awesome spread with the only thing that could even be seen as potentially negative or worrisome being the Seven of Fire, but it's in the conscious zone. So it's only something that's in the feminine's mind. And there's nothing wrong with planning to defend yourself and your beliefs. We have another card too. It's the Queen of Water, who's tenderhearted, empathetic, patient, and loving. Relationships develop to a new level Trust your intuition. Care for yourself and others. So feminine, this is what you're defending. Your relationships, your choices with regard to your relationships. Also specifically the Queen of Water, said to represent the sign of Scorpio. And of course other water sign, Pisces, Cancer. You could be specifically defending your relationship with a Scorpio. This could be a Gemini Scorpio combination, just like King Osiris and Queen Isis, or vice versa. It doesn't have to be, but with this double water here, it can certainly be that. It can be an earth sign too. Yeah. Gemini, Libra, Cancer, Scorpio, Pisces, Taurus, Virgo. I feel most of all. So I only left out a couple, but it could be anybody. And the next card is upside down, so I'm going to go to the romance cards. Chris Cornell, that's who it was. Singer, band, frontman. I can't think of the band, the two bands actually that he was in, but it's coming back to me. I know that was kind of random, but it just came. Anyway, you know what? Before I top these cards here, let me go over what we have. This is really a pretty phenomenal spread. It's like mostly major arcana and court cards. We have the masculine is the Four of Air, which is all about taking a vacation. Perhaps we saw a lot of weekend away this week with the dice. That could be that. He may have a decision to make, although the other cards aren't necessarily indicative of that. And he may just be in need of some meditation, some rest, some recovery, rehabilitation, get his, wits about him again, get his strength about him. Maybe he's exhausted, he's tired, he needs some rest, perhaps from ascension, all of those things. But really awesome energy from the suit of air. I have a few favorites, very few favorites from the suit of air. The Four of Air is certainly one of them. Surrounded by the King of Earth, who is probably my favorite among the Earth cards, if not, well, between the King and the Ace. King of Earth is generous, professional, responsible, and practical. All about being, having the confidence to accept any opportunities you're offered because you know you got it. And like jobs and things can come that you didn't even apply for at all. You may be offered something, which is pretty awesome. Also a good time for the masculine to apply for credit, and be, maybe to his surprise, approved. His subconscious is the High Priestess, Major Arcana card number 2, the High Priestess, which represents the High Priestess and the sign of Gemini for me, but also can be other water signs. Makes sense in this spread with all we have is air, earth, for the most part, air, earth, water. And then this 6 of fire showing up here at the bottom with the victory. The feminine is unity, representing the sign of Taurus or other, which is the high priest. Yes. We have the high priest mirroring the high priestess, by the way. But the high priest is and unity card is also known as the Hierophant, all about commitment, marriage, going to college, going to school, which can all be things that come with this, but it looks more so like commitment, starting a family, perhaps even marriage, having children together, like real commitment. And maybe it's been slow in coming, but it's like, here's your new beginning. The feminine is surrounded by the Ace of Water, which is all about a brand new start in a relationship or something involving love and emotion. Can be pregnancy or giving birth also, at least to me. And in the feminine subconscious is the Queen of Water, who's tenderhearted, empathetic, patient, and loving. And this card is all about relationships continuing to ascend. And, so with the Ace of Water topping the Queen of Water, this is just like love upon love upon love. And then crowned by this card of marriage. It's definitely commitment of some sort, even if it's not marriage itself. Shared is the union's crowned by the Empress, which represents again the sign of Taurus, but also Libra. So there's your air and earth again. And it's perhaps here because of Mercury ending. It's the last day for Mercury in Taurus before it completely exits again its retrograde zone. So that can be why that's there. Also representing nurturing, the need for us to nurture ourselves and others, nurture these relationships, especially, we're giving birth to them. We got to, they're babies, they're brand new. Maybe we're in the honeymoon phase of some of these unions or reunions, and we got to treat them, tenderly and carefully and feed them, nourish them in order for them to grow properly. we're good at that. It works. We're successful. At the root here, the Six of Fire, it's all about victory and good news being on the way. Again, perhaps birth or birth announcement, or just we got back together. That's good news. We're getting married. That's good news. Like all that kind of stuff. And then at the heart of the matter, the Knight of Earth, who is loyal, dedicated, honorable, and kind, and all about getting into a commitment and honoring our commitments. Now beginning with calling in your soulmate. On top of that, your prayers, affirmations, and visualizations help bring you together. And opening 2, express your love. Go ahead and make the romantic gesture. Calling in your soulmate. Because you deserve love. You are lovable. Calling in your soulmate. And playfulness to recapture romance. Allow your inner youthful spirit of fun to shine. Calling in your soulmate. I'm going to cut. Past life relationship. You have known each other before. That 3 of air could have been here before because of some breakups. Even wanting to move forward in a new relationship. Sometimes there's still hurt involved in ending the past relationship. Also, some people, as I had suspected would happen, have gone into separation. That can be why that 3 of air showed up before as well. And the masculine maybe healing from some of those experiences with this 4 of air here. And he needs to love himself first, as do we, feminine. Your self-respect makes you more romantically attractive. This is the overall energy here. Atop the 4 of air, new love. A new person has stirred your romantic feelings. So this is preparing oneself. Healing from the old situation or any old situations, not necessarily other romantic, but something, that you had to overcome. And now you're getting your energy back. You're getting your strength back because you're about to make, a real push and express your love with this new love. For others, this is weekend away, right? Maybe celebrated with the new love here, topping the 4 of air. Atop the King of Earth, forgiving and learning. I think there may have been some breakups or hurt specifically between air and earth signs. And as a result, we're having to go through this period, which is, this is something we have to go through over and over again in life. And again, the more you know, the better you do. As you release and heal the past, you experience more love in your present moments. So maybe some of those situations being repaired as well, sooner rather than later. Here, atop the High Priestess, chemistry. There's a strong magnetic attraction here. Feminine. Topping unity is unrequited love. There's not enough attraction or chemistry to keep this relationship going. Again, I think this is something that came up between earth signs and air signs specifically. Of course, anybody could have had a breakup, but that's what I'm feeling specifically. And you got to come back into balance for some of you, because those relationships will come back together. And for others, that was it. Like that was the past life relationship person, like the quote unquote karmic, and it's over. Maybe divorce for some of you. That can be what this is, the unrequited love topping the unity card. Maybe you've just now reached that point. The unity card of the Hierophant, High Priest, is major arcana card number 5. 5s are all about change. So this is a change to your situation where commitment is involved and related. And some of you, I feel, have now reached that period where you're ending some of these old relationships and are moving forward with divorces. Here atop the Ace of Water, as I said before I picked up any of the cards before, as soon as I saw the Ace of Water, I said somebody's having a baby also. Yep, that's what's happening. Children. Your love life is being affected by children. In other cases, it's not that you're giving birth to a child. You have children already, and they may be with the unrequited love. You may be divorcing their father for some of you. For others, it's a situation that has served as a block and a problem. Something having to do with your other relationship, with your divine union. There's been, not a negative way, like I want to say that children are bad and they were a block, but they've come in between somehow, even if indirectly, where one or the other, or energy from there doesn't know how to handle these children. How do we move forward? So until we can figure that out, our higher selves can figure that out, these children are a block. But for others, it's right here on the 3D plane. We've been remaining in relationships in which we weren't happy because of children, trying to force them to work. Here atop the Queen of Water, speaking of forcing something, make the effort. Great love is worth taking the steps you're guided to take. We have this here mirroring the new love. Atop the Empress. Deception. Someone's wearing a false self-mask in this relationship. I'm feeling that this has to do with those of you that I mentioned. And it was funny that came up again and out of my mouth again today. That, some of you have these children that aren't yours, masculine. Some of you need DNA tests and all this kind of stuff. Some of you have just been hiding the fact that you have children, period, is what's coming out. And that maybe why the moon was here. That information has been in the dark. But this is going to have to come to light. We're going to have to deal with this issue of children. Because we're reconciling, as I've been saying throughout too. And this is here atop the Six of Fire. That's the victory for many. Someone from your past is returning to your life. It crosses the forgiving and learning, the healing. It also crosses the children. We're going to get past this, what's been a barrier in the past. We're finally going to honor our commitment and figure out a way that this can work. Like the Knight of Earth would. And speaking of that, atop the Knight of Earth is true love. This is the romance of a lifetime. I told you guys that this day was going to be really, really awesome as far as the cards. You know what? I want to move on to the Ascendant Master cards, but I also want to look for the next upright card to see if it can help us with unrequited love and or deception. Here it is. Let go of control issues and allow this situation to unfold naturally. So some of you who are fighting things one way or another, whether it involves a DNA test, for example, and, you're trying to avoid getting one or something like that. Whatever you're doing to force it one way or another, stop doing that, basically. Whatever your situation here is with this deception. And the next one, atop the unrequited love, separation. Time apart from your partner is on the horizon, but this is the partner that you're leaving. This is not the divine partner. This is someone else. And again, perhaps the father of your children, to whom that applies. Now I'll go on to the Ascendant Master cards. Beginning with yoga. So another means of meditation. Opening to priorities with King Solomon. Priorities. And choose peace. This is on both sides. This is both with the person with whom you're breaking up and with whom you're reconciling. To those of you whom that applies, we got to do this as peacefully as possible. Again, in some cases, this is our other child's parent. If we can avoid things getting ugly, we should avoid them. If we have to enlist a king of air, as in a lawyer, to speak for us, a queen of air, perhaps, to get in between and to mediate. Maybe like that seven of air that showed up in between the king of water and the queen of air. If somebody can get in because there's trust issues, get in between them to mediate, do it that way. Priorities is back. And take charge of this situation one way or another, says Moses. Let go of control issues, but take charge of the situation. Take charge of the situation. And lastly, persistence is what's going to get you through, says Lou. Excuse me. Take charge of the situation back. I'm going to cut. Back to yoga. So some of us need to do some sort of meditation. It doesn't have to be yoga. Overall energy is work your magic, says Saint Germain. The top new love. Let it go. So let the old thing, whatever that was, whatever that heartache was, whatever it is from which you are recovering, release it from yourself. And you can use the meditation to do that. It says Kuan Yin. Release all that to make way for the new love. Here, atop forgiving and learning. You've learned something about yourself. You've learned what you really want. You've learned, what direction you need to take. Come out of the closet now with it, says Amaterasu. Atop the chemistry and the high priestess is trust. So we want to trust in the connection and in our intuition. What did I say? Even with the person with whom you're breaking up, because that is your child's parent. And there's Raphael to reconfirm everything. Choose peace. So again, if you have to go through a mediator or a lawyer in order to choose peace because you guys can't get along on your own, then do that. Surrounding you, here at top children is freedom. So it's freedom again from some sort of feeling of being bound and tied and stuck with the children. As I was saying, the children was some sort of barrier. They were a block. Of course, unintentionally, but that's what was happening. So this is freeing ourselves, especially for those of us who are leaving this situation where we were connected to the child or the parent and the love there is no more. We're finally seeking our freedom. And some of us actually like divorcing or whatever we have to do to officially cut ties cut ties and break that connection as it relates to the Hierophant. That's what we're doing. Here, atop, make the effort. Focus upon your strengths, says Apollo. So in doing that, whatever you're good at, that's what you want to really enlist. And here, atop, let go of control issues and deception. King Solomon says priorities. So we got to, reorder these things, put ourselves first. Well, the universe, I would say God, family, football. And when you go that route, it never fails. Here, atop the reconciliation, take charge of this situation. This is reconciliation and victory, says Moses. You got this. And at the heart of the matter here, atop the true love, teacher. All of this has been like a whirlwind learning experience. This teacher sits here next to forgiving and learning. But it was all worth it because true love. Let's get our advice. Also some from the angel therapy cards, beginning with solar plexus chakra. It is safe for you to be powerful and to take charge of your life in positive ways. Opening 2, listen to your intuitive feelings. We've heard this message like 3-4 times today. Your body is receiving accurate messages from the divine. That's what the Ace of Water guides us to do. That's what the Queen of Water guides us to do. That's what the High Priestess guides us to do. Pay close attention to your intuition. Solar plexus chakra is back. And opening 2, law of attraction. Relationships and activities you once enjoyed, like the one with your child's other parent, perhaps, are now changing as you become more sensitive and aware of energies. You're changing, so they're changing. There's that 5 energy of the Hierophant. Law of attraction back. And opening to indigo. The person you're inquiring about is an indigo, meaning a highly sensitive, natural born leader. I think for many of us, that's ourselves. Again, the process of learning who we are and what we are and what it is we want out of life. Law of attraction back. Aw, twin flame. The answer to your question involves a spiritually based romantic relationship. And this is here opposite law of attraction. So it's like calling in your soulmate squared times 2. Law of attraction back. I'm going to cut. sacral chakra. You are highly sensitive to chemicals, additives, processed foods, and energies right now. Respect your sensitivities by avoiding harsh items, situations, and relationships. This is more guidance to leave people, places, and things with which we do not align alone. And to keep, really, to be honest with you, our, sexual, sacral, sacred areas sacred, as to the extent that we can. That's one of the most important reasons as to why we have to get out of these other situations, so that you can purify yourself, heal that chakra, and then, make ready, like the masculine seems to be doing. I don't know if he's working specifically on the sacral chakra, but he's rehabilitating before he approaches the new love. That's what we need to do. You are profoundly clairvoyant. Trust what you see in your mind's eye as well as with your physical sight, for your spiritual vision helps you with healing, teaching, and guidance. I talked about the African carnelian yesterday. The way you can tell which one is African is it has these veins in it, by the way. I didn't mention that. So obviously this too is African carnelian, and it has all these little veins in it. Beginning with hope, love, and acceptance. Love is yours. Recognize your divine worth. Choose loving thoughts. This is like choose peace. Opening 2, Paul the Venetian. Experiencing grace. Share your gifts with grace. Waves of inspiration and love are coming to you. Hope. Odin, psychic insight. Your third eye is open. See truth for what it is. No more deception for us. Follow your intuition. Odin back. And Isis, magic manifesting. Your dreams, visions, and goals are becoming reality. Stay focused. Isis back. And Kuan Yin returns, this time with care and compassion. Choose to be love. Do what is right for everyone involved and offer a helping hand. I think this is a perfect message to connect everything that's going on here today between the masculine healing, and preparing himself, readying himself, coming out of the closet perhaps, paying closer attention to his intuition, trusting that he hasn't, blown it, trusting in himself, trusting in the union, that everything's going to come together, choosing peace, prioritizing himself, prioritizing the union, taking charge also for the feminine. Choosing to be love and letting go of past love that, causes imbalance to her and to the other people, right? Do what's right for everyone involved. This is what's right for the children. This is what's right for the past partner. This is what's right for you. This is what's right for your new partner. It's just right for everyone. Kuan Yin comes through to remind us that. And the overall energy, speaking of Gemini, is the Miriam, sacred vision. Choose to forgive in order to heal. Wow. We have this forgiveness sitting here, right here underneath the healing. The forgiving and learning right underneath the 4 of air. See the light in all. Remember that love has no boundaries. So we thought the children were a boundary. We thought the children were a barrier. We realize now that that's not true. We can get past this. Love has no boundaries. Okay, so further to everything else, I'm excited. The masculine is getting Lord Ganesh, infinite abundance. Obstacles are being removed. Spiritual support and connections are increasing. More reconfirmation about the increasing, not only abundance with all the earth cards we got here today, but also intuition and the need to pay attention to it, and the fact that barriers, self-imposed, that we believed that were false, whatever they were, this closet we put ourselves in, all coming down, all being removed. Feminine. Kathumi, cloak of wisdom. You already know the answer you seek. Trust what you know. And we heard from the other card, or read on the other card, that the answer has to do with your spiritually based relationship. So follow that. From the angel therapy cards to the masculine. Visualize success. See yourself doing well in this situation and have faith in a positive outcome. Here it is right here. Victory. Reconciliation, with you at the helm, taking charge of the situation. Feminine. Heart chakra. The answer that you seek is in your heart right now. As I just said a moment ago with regard to this Kathumi card, be open to giving and receiving love. I just heard that song too. Give me all of you in exchange for me, as I was driving. Masculine, from the angels, Knight of Fire, who's passionate, adventurous, self-assured, and restless. A sudden event that needs immediate attention. Yeah, that sudden event is yourself. It's your partner. You want to run after it, and you should. Bravo. You'll be victorious. Time is of the essence. Think things through carefully and then make your move, masculine. I love it. Angels to the feminine. Nine of Air. We got to stop this. Expecting the worst. Self-fulfilling prophecies and sleepless nights. It's probably because of this situation that some of you are going through. Just, let go, as the card here said, and let God, just give it to the universe. Hand it over. All your worries. Write it down and put it in the God box. Write it down and set it on fire. Write it down and ball it up and use it as a baseball. I don't know, whatever you're into, but release it however you need to. Romance angels to the masculine, passion. Allow your heart and soul to sing with joy. So whatever moves you, whatever drives you, that's what you want to focus on right now. And it looks very much to me like you're doing that. So bravo. That's why you're going to be victorious. Feminine, retreat. It's time to disconnect from the world. Some of us do have some things to work through. And again, we got to take a moment maybe in order to do some healing and to get these thoughts out of our head. But after we do that, we've got a lot to look forward to. From the Ascended Masters, lastly, Lord Ganesha's back, masculine. He says yes. So your prayers have been answered. Your wishes are being granted. Obstacles are being moved from in front of you, from before you. Just get on the path and keep going. Even if you see something ahead, have confidence. Know that the opportunity is coming for you, that obstacle will be removed. You are the Knight of Earth. You are the Six of Fire. You are victorious. You are Moses. You are the leader. Trust, prioritize yourself, says King Solomon. Let everything else go, all the bullshit, step out of the closet. You've earned your learning. You've gone to school on this. Some of us may actually be going to school. That just came in last minute, by the way, because, yeah, we have the teacher here crossing the Hierophant too. It makes sense. But, yeah, whatever you want to do, whatever there was a boundary to or a block to is no more. And just believe that. Even if it looks like there's something ahead, believe that will fall down by the time you get there. And it will. Feminine. Health and healing, says Hilarion, which is what we just talked about at length, what I expect you guys to work on, what I too will be working on. And we're all going to get through this together. And we know that we're going to be successful. So just have confidence and believe in yourself. Believe in the collective. I hope that you guys enjoy the daily reading. Namaste, angels.